In this video, I'm gonna show you how I made oat milk using simple ingredients. Let's go!
So let's start making the oat milk. First, we need to have dry rolled oats, 500 ml of cold water, a coffee strainer, a food processor or grinder, and a blender. The first step is kinda optional since we are using cold water and I don't have a powerful blender, so I want to make the oat finer so it is easier to soft the oat in the water. So we put in 1 cup of raw oat and we let it grind. Next, we pour the ground oat into the blender. Here we can see that the powdery texture of the oat after it is being grounded. Then we add in the cold water. The reason why we don't use hot water is because we don't want the heat, because the heat can make the oat sticky and starchy and we don't want it in our milk. Then we let it blend for just a few seconds, because the longer the blending work took, more heat will be generated. Next, we take a jar or a container and we put in the coffee strainer. After that, we transfer all the blended oat through the coffee strainer. Next, we gently squeeze the strainer to let all the milk out. And finally, you are left with the oat pulp. After we have done straining, we pour the milk into a container and we can store it in the fridge. And it is ready to be served. Oat milk can stay fresh up to a week.
I'm very sure that you've seen the same process being done in your household, or at least at the market. Yes, the concept used is the same as making coconut milk, and I actually got inspired after watching my grandmother make her own coconut milk a few days ago. So to relate with what I've been learning this semester, I found that this process has similar concept to leaching. So what is leaching? Leaching is a process where a solute becoming detached or extracted from its carrier substance, which is a solid, to liquid by a way of a solvent, meaning that the components in the solid were separated by a contact of liquid solvent. Besides preparing a cup of tea from a tea bag, leaching technique is also widely used in biological and food industry. For example, separation of sugar from sugar beets, or the extraction of oil from peanuts, soybeans, or sunflower seeds. But most importantly, leaching is applied in the metal processing industry to remove desired metals from their ores, like gold. Basically, the leaching process is a simple process. First, we have a carrier, which is solid, and in this experiment, it is the dry rolled oats. Then, we add water to it. The water is the solvent. They were blended to dissolve the solid with the solvent. In this process, the solute is the milk that we want to extract from the oat itself. Then, we remove the solid to collect the solute, and there we have it, the milk that is ready to drink. Now let us look into the mechanism of leaching. Now we have a closer look to what happens to the oat until it becomes oat milk. Firstly, the solvent, which is the water, came in contact with the surface of the solid, which is the oat. It then penetrates and diffuses into the solid through the pores. The solid is then dissolved with the solvent and later diffuses out of the surface of the solid. Now imagine a school bus in the morning going to pick up students from the neighborhood to school. Okay, the bus here represents the solvent, while the students that live in the housing area represent the solute that is in the solid. As the bus drives through the housing area, it picks up the students. Likewise, the solute that dissolves in the solvent, and then the bus takes the student away from their housing area. So in conclusion, science is very vastly applied in our daily lives. Simple concept like making a cup of tea can also be used in the industries, thus benefits us all. So for now, let me enjoy my oat milk and thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum.